We joined 4 different ministries and their subordinated authorities, including the EOD. And the EODs are basically the agencies or the guys who are taking care of munition onshore but offshore as well. We created 4 positions which are coordinating the topic within the state. 3 are filled so far, while the latest was filled in March this year. My position was filled in October, so I'm working on this topic since last October. And the main goal of the strategy was to establish a federal center, because we are the state government, but with the federal government together, a federal center of excellence for unexploded ordnance within our state. Because we think, because we are 5 states in northern Germany which have the problems of the munition, and we need to solve this issue together. Was recovered, and because it's the reason of environmental protection. It has never happened before in Germany, and I think so in the whole Baltic Sea states. Because until now, we still don't have a legal framework, in Germany at least, for the remediation of damaged munition. And there you have to understand the difference, because for the clearance, which means if it's a direct threat for human beings, or for example infrastructure, there is a legal framework. So for example, if they want to build just an offshore wind park, then they're going to clear it, and the munition is going to be brought on land and disposed. But for environmental protection, we don't have that yet. So this is a high explosive shell, which is the very first one which was recovered, and you can see it here on it's your right side. And the problem is that it's quite large. It's a 12.8 millimeter, which has to be cut down before it can be disposed. You can see in the middle photo how it's being basically sewed. And then after that, the TNT, including the shell, is being burned, and the rest of the metal is gonna go to recycling. And you can see here on the side of the really white picture how many slices it actually needs to be disposed, and every single one is gonna be burned individually. Then what else do we do within the state? So we have a public awareness program in which, for example, if there are citizens initiatives, we always go there, we talk to the people, they normally invite us, and we listen to them because we really want to know what their opinion is and how we can include them into our strategy. Also, we inform them, for example, on the next one is on the 10th of June, which is the opening of our Mecklenburg-Vorpommern Baltic Days, where we just go to Market Square and inform the citizens what the issue actually is about the munition. Then we support research institutions, which is also one of my main work which I'm doing, which are involved with 2 projects so far. One is Conma, which is also a German project, and one is Baldweg, which we also hear more about later. Then what is really important is basically to know what happened in the past, because our state is quite different than the other northern German states, because we used to be a Soviet satellite state. So we know that munition has been dumped not only from the Second and First World War, but also during the Soviet times. And until now, we don't have any idea what the true history is about it. So we plan to go to the archives, not only like the military archives, but also like the state archives, etc., and look into that if we can gather any information about that. And then the biggest project we are working so far is that we created a project group which is about to establish a marine munition competence cluster, which is supposed to be a network with stakeholders from academia and private industry, mainly from about technology development and public authorities. This cluster is going to be located at the Ocean Technology Campus in Rostock. We already have quite the infrastructure for that within the state. And also what we would want to do is to build up the harbor city of Rostock as a technology hub for
because that's the one
and this
thing.
is also basically the basis which we hope
our work is also to provide some future, and we are not as doomed
if any of you is interested to join the network, please come to me.
Because there is some resilience in the environment, and we are benefiting from it. I think many things have already been told, especially about HELCOM, and I think it's an interesting thing to know that we have, as humans, as Europeans and scientists, everyone, citizens of Europe, recognize the problem of munitions underwater. But this recognition is also evolving. And at first, as Kasia mentioned, it was about chemical munitions at the seas. It was considered as a hazard, security hazard, mainly for military and fishermen. Actually, even before there was one different period, it was a taboo, so only military actually knew and cared about it. But since the HELCOM HEMU, there has been more and more discussion about this topic, and researchers were invited to join the effort, and by research we are actually gaining the understanding that shifts this problem from the security threat to the environmental pollution threat, because with the corrosion, this what's lethal is actually getting released to the environment. However, as you've seen trenches and all those land-based military activities, water is a totally different condition than the open than the land-based. So actually there was a big question that we needed to answer, and that's where ecotoxicology comes handy. Is this toxic in water? And about all this research, I really welcome you to check the works by HELCOM groups, CAMU, MUNI, and the recent one, the EG Submerged, where I am also a delegate from Poland. And I think that there is also an interesting evolution, because at first everyone was concerned about chemical munitions, but now with more research and by transferring this knowledge from chemical munitions to the conventional ones, we are now recognizing a serious threat from the large, massive amounts of TNT that's laying around the Baltic Sea. When talking about the chemical munitions, I think that the best way to explain the evolution of the state of knowledge is simply by looking at the project names that have been developed under Baltic Sea region. It all started with modeling in the MERCW, which was modeling of environmental threats related to chemical warfare. Then it was ChemSea, where we started learning how to find those munitions at the sea, how to measure the parameters that can help assessing the threats. Then it came Modern, which was NATO funded, that was the first step towards monitoring, so developing monitoring strategies and solutions. And last but not least was Diamond, which was the decision decision supporting frameworks so creating this transfer of scientific knowledge into more applicable towards remediation of this problem. And this is continued in the Munimap project that we are currently working at, where we actually try to develop this roadmap for remediation. And as it has just been said, there is a huge legal issue regarding munitions, because these are not typical pollutants. It's not the typical barrel that someone spills. It's a barrel that can kill someone who will touch it, and legally many entities except Navy are not even allowed to touch it, because according to the OPCW, anyone who will put their hands on munitions is becoming the owner of them, and it's prohibited of the chemical munitions. So there are multiple areas that we are looking at in the Munimap project, but also we are in the sister project called Munirisk. We are looking at all the scientific gaps that needs to be filled before we will have the fully science-based decision that can support any remediation process. And this also includes fulfilling the requirements of the Baltic Sea Action Plan by HELCOM, where we try to develop the best available techniques and environmental practices. Because if someone actually ever tries to do something, they better do it right. So one of the ways that we are also looking at it is, I've told you about this natural resilience of the ecosystem. The environment, if treated well, can serve many great things for us as humans, except we all live because of the environment. And there are some methods for remediation that doesn't really require any actual heavy tool work. And the things we are looking at is, we look directly in the prokaryotics of bacterial and archaeal assemblages that exist in the sediments of the Baltic Sea, and we look if there are any natural capacities for the transformation and detoxification of both conventional and chemical agents that are known cancerous, that can destroy DNA, denaturate cells, and inhibit life. So at the end, we are looking from many perspectives, from both legal, technical, but we are also looking how we can enhance the existing environmental features to receive the capacity that can save us millions of unnecessary work. Because the reason why munitions are at the sea is that they were problematic on land. Now the irony would be to recover them from the sea and bring them to the land to destroy them. This would be a very strange offset of environmental
project related to munitions. But there are two projects, Bartrek and NGO, which are working on the wrecks and about how to prevent the collapse. So our Bartrek project is divided into four very important tasks. The first one is diagnosis. If you go to the doctor and he gives you a recipe, you say it's not a good doctor. So generally you need to first diagnose. So the first step in our project is to look whether in the ship there is some fuel. So there is, for example, a beam of neutrons which come into the ship. We do not make the holes because the traditional way it is to make a hole and to check where this fuel exists, but then you need to glue it somehow later. But we using just neutron scattering, we can know where is the fuel, how much is of the fuel.
From the legal perspective, there are many important questions that are totally unresolved. So, and this is exactly where my work begins. So this is what we. This is also very interesting. So you heard before that we have only in the Baltic Sea we focusing. But yeah, which are the key findings on the legal side? One of the main findings is that Europe currently has no current legal framework for large-scale remediation. We have a closer look to the legal sides. Then we have three levels. So we have the international level, but the international law that are contracts between the states, and they do not work retroactively. So historical dumping is absolutely excluded from the international law. And on the second level, the EU level, the issue is addressed only indirectly, for example, for monitoring and so on, but not for remediation reasons. And on the third level, we have the national legal systems, and there we find often fragmented sectoral systems involving environmental, maritime, or safety law. But these topics or the sexual systems do not work together so well at the moment. So we have to harmonize this legal stuff. So in simple terms, Europe has many legal instruments, but no current architecture for real long-term actions. Yeah, the volume 2 is coming soon. This is where we work on now. This is the next step, comparative analysis of national legal systems across our Baltic Sea region. And the goal here is now to identify different regulatory models and develop recommendations for the EU level, but also for the national levels, for all Baltic Sea states. And yeah, we're also testing AI supported legal analysis methods to improve large-scale comparative research. Yeah, and also the second project, the BALFRAG, we expand the perspective for munitions to the potentially polluting frags. And yeah, as Adam said, we have hundreds of potentially polluting frags in the Baltic Sea, and many still containing oil and chemicals and so on. But legally we encounter various similar problems. So we have fragmented responsibilities, we have unclear procedures, and we have no coherent framework for the remediation of oil or the whole frag. And yeah, this shows that frags and munitions are closely connected. So we have closely governance challenges with the munitions and also with the frags. So yeah, let me conclude briefly. So the current legal framework in Europe are mainly reactive, so not no proactive. We have only reactive systems, and they are not designed for long-term coordinated remediation systems. And this is what we need for the future. So thank you so much.
Two important things have been said by my colleagues. One, these kind of problems are interconnected. So why don't we all interconnect and try to solve the problem? On one side, we have a bunch of freaky scientists diving, making those assessments, taking different measures, analyzing the situation of wrecks on the munition. On the other side, we have the legal entities dealing with the strategies, creating different challenges, legal framework, creating all those aspects related to how to deal with the problem and how to deal with the community. On the other side, we have a bunch of projects. As has been said at the beginning, we have almost 30 projects, 8 running and 8 under preparation. So there are really high potential of those experts who are dealing with the topic. How to solve the problem, how to also to reach the proper target groups, the stakeholders by those scientists, and change their language used by them into language understandable for the local authorities, understandable for the tourists. If you would be asking, for example, local authority, do you like to be a part of the BALFRAG project or Muni risk project? They say no, never. Why? Because they are not interested in or scaring people and scaring the potential tourists that they are somewhere out there, the sinking U-boats, sinking ships, sinking munitions. And walking to the beach, you can find some barrels with the e-parrot or something like this. So we tried also to do and change the perspective of the collaboration between those different entities. Create working groups, create a common pattern to promotion of those risks, also to reaching those scientists in one group, trying to gather them and gather those really nice materials, guidelines, legal frameworks. We try to strategies created by them in storing and gathering them and properly respond to those risks related to those munitions and wrecks. This is really important. Those stakeholder activities, we are dealing in all the projects the same, to reach proper people who are giving the money and what we can do with those money to recover or remediate those wrecks and munitions. But those people are mostly busy people, and when one project is asking them, please join our conference, next day the Munitions project is knocking at their doors, and please join our event. And those events are, we are trying to solve the problem, not having too much events which are touching the same subject, and trying to also engage those stakeholders, high importance stakeholders, EU level, NATO level, or others, to be directly pointed to those initiatives. And we all are dealing with European Oceans Pact, which will have a huge importance for all those projects. And all those projects mentioned at the beginning, BSR, Munitions, they also create their own recommendation for these flagship initiatives. We are trying to do what we can to incorporate those content points created by the projects into these creative strategies. And what next? We make knowledge accessible. This is really important. Those bunch of tools, products, outputs, and outcomes of those projects to be in one place, to be reachable, and to be stored in one place, and also what is important, to maintain those results, not being just created, put it on the shelf, and nobody will touch them anymore. So this is also really important. We are really we are being supported by the JP Ocean. This is really support for all of us. One person, Paul Trukofer, who is trying to gather all of us every month to organize meetings with those projects and try to organize our work joint efforts and work related of the collaboration. And there are many of events. This event is only a part of the pathway related to promoting the topic, which is a niche topic. We are still being somewhere out there between spatial planning, but still the effects of those spills of oil, of those munitions found in the beaches, which have a huge impact on the entire regions, nations. That's why we have to be present, we have to present those films, present those really nice job done by the scientists, politicians, and state owners and maritime institutions, which are trying to help us not only to solve the problem, but also to prepare us for challenges related to the problem. I hope just one thing after the presentation of the results of one project, we're asking ourselves, are we allowed to present the coordinates where the U-boat is being sunk? No. Are we able to show the places where the munitions are being stored? The Russians are listening, and we would like to avoid to have a ghost ships traveling through those kind of munitions dams and trying to open the entire disaster for the Baltic Sea region. So we are trying to also not only discuss among the Baltic Sea region, North Sea, national funded project, international, EU, just to try to gather them in, and present the topic and try to impress somebody with the finding different solutions of solving the problem, not only in the Baltic Sea region, but also in the other seas. We are all struggling with the wartime effects, and I hope that in the future we will be able to find a chamber of amber during those kind of diving in the wrecks, but still I would like to avoid finding those kind of munitions stored and dangers related to that. So if you want to know more about those initiatives, we have also leaflets, information, how many of those projects, who to contact, and this is also important. We have a help desk. If you are dedicated to the subject, to find a proper people, reach out and ask questions, what to do, how to solve, what kind of materials I can use. You can visit on the LinkedIn, and we are trying also to prepare the platform when all the materials will be founded. So maybe that's all. To try to be united, working on the same problem, and trying to face the same challenge by all of us. It's going to be really nice type of performance.